Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi. Just a check. Can you hear us? Oh, 1 second.
Yes, now you should be able to send a message. So please send a message if you can hear us. If there are any problems, lots of messages.
Perfect. Thank you.
Around 200 of you guys signed up, so we'll just wait like 1 or 2 minutes to see how many people will join, and then we will start. But maybe in the meantime, just tell us, why are you coming to RUAS? Are you an exchange student or master student? Where are you from? Just some information about you guys. Somehow there are 2 chats. There's a normal chat and a private chat. I don't know if you have those options too, but we would prefer it if you send it just in the normal chat, not the private one.
Yeah, perfect. Especially if you have questions later on in the webinar.
Because that way we can all see the answers. Lots of exchange students, all over the world: Japan, Mexico, France, Turkey, master students. So in this group, it's mostly master students and pre-master, and also a lot of exchange students. There are no bachelor programs starting in February, so just 2 groups. But there's still lots of you guys, so yeah, there's 100 now. Let's just wait 1 more minute.
Yeah, and then we'll start. So many different countries, really nice.
Yes.
I'll put on the first slide already. So just another check. I think the slide should not be visible, the first one. Thanks.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Perfect.
It helps us when you reply, so thank you. Yeah, let's start in 1 minute or so. In the meantime, if you have any questions, just keep sending them in the chat, and we'll start with our introduction soon.
Yeah, and we'll just answer live questions. Right. We'll just answer live questions throughout the webinar.
Wow. It's almost 3 minutes since we started, so.
Want to start?
Yeah, we'll start.
Now, let me see. Perfect. Okay, so welcome all of you. My name is Roos, and this is my colleague Ruby.
Hello.
We're the housing officers at Rotterdam University of Applied Sciences, and we work at the Center of International Affairs, or COIA for short, which is an office where we handle basically everything for exchange and international students who are coming to our university. So we're the housing officers, which means that the main thing that we do is provide information regarding housing in the Netherlands, and we also manage some of the rooms that our university has some control over. First, today's agenda. I think most of you will have read on our website or will be somehow aware that we do manage some rooms through SSH. So this is going to be the first half of the webinar. We'll firstly discuss what is SSH, who is eligible for the rooms that we have available there, how many rooms are available, kind of how, what does the process of booking one of these rooms look like, the cancellation process, etc. The second part of the webinar will be focused on the housing market in the Netherlands in general. What can you expect? What is good practice to start looking for rooms? And this is also where you have the opportunity to ask any questions regarding the housing market. Lastly, we'll talk a bit about scams.
And then any questions you may have, feel free to send them at the end, but sometimes it's easier during the presentation so you don't forget. We already have one question right now. No, indeed, we're not actually booking rooms right now. It's just providing information about when you can book and how it works, what SSH is, and if you are not able to book one of those rooms, what you can do to find another room.
Yes, and the whole webinar that we are filming today will be recorded as well. So if anyone has to leave or can't be there, you'll be able to watch it back later. The registration and booking process is not for another few weeks, as we will explain later. So nothing needs to happen right now.
Yeah.
Do you want to start?
Yep, I'll start. So what is SSH? It's a Dutch word and it means student housing services, pretty much. Stichting Studentenhuisvesting. They specialize in student accommodations. They're all over the Netherlands. They have many rooms, many buildings. But what the difference between us and SSH is that we reserve rooms from them. So we are kind of guaranteed that we have those rooms each year and that you are able to book them. So we have a certain amount of rooms, and those are for RUAS students, not for the other students. So there's a select amount of rooms available. They're at 3 different locations, but they're all to close to the Cancellation location where I believe all of the master programs are, and many of the exchange programs as well. The rent is somewhere between 475 and 750 euros. It depends on the room size, also the location, the facilities at each building. Some of them were newly renovated and they're a bit more expensive, but you will be able to see all of this on the website. So each room is furnished, and it's your own private room, and you share the apartment with 1 or 2 other students. They're always from the same gender, so you will not share it with a friend who is male and you're female. That's not possible, unfortunately. You have a private bedroom, and you can see a picture there, and then you have a shared kitchen and hallway and bathroom and toilet. They also offer long stay apartments. So right now what we offer is short stay. So for you, it's only 6 months, unfortunately, but you can also sign up for SSH, and they offer rooms that are for, let's say, 2 years or something like that. If you do want to offer that, then you have to sign up yourself. We are not a mediator, then that's really your own responsibility. If you plan on staying here for a longer time, so I would say not for the exchange students, but for the master students, you can sign up now, and maybe in a year or longer, you're able to book a room through their long stay accommodations. But that's just mostly for the future. Most of the times it takes quite a long time before you're able to reserve a room.
I'll look at some of the questions maybe. So how many rooms do we have? We'll get to the exact number, but it's for the February semester, it's about 120 or 130 rooms. Disability access, unfortunately, these rooms, they're in 3 different locations, but some of these buildings are quite old. Obviously, there's varying levels of physical disability. Generally, though, they are not accessible, so they don't have special accessible bathrooms. I believe some of the hallways as well, we've had this problem before, but if you are a special needs student in that regard, unfortunately, these rooms are probably not suitable for you. However, if you're not sure about that, at the end of the webinar, we'll show our email address. You can email us about your specific situation, and we can have a look with you to see if it's suitable or not.
For example, if you're in a wheelchair, it would be very hard to live there, for example, because the doors are heavy. As Roos said, it's an old building. It's just not very spacious. But again, it depends on your disability, I would say.
And are they available for married students? No. All these rooms are for 1 student per room only. As we said, apartments are only shared with students of the same gender, but even so, there's only 1 student per room. There's no studios. Like, these are just, right now we're just talking about our SSH rooms. Like Ruby said, SSH has other options as well that we have no influence over, and there are many other options within the city. But SSH rooms that we manage, they're just for single students. They're always shared rooms, generally with 1 other person in the apartment, sometimes 2.
In every room, you need to share a bathroom. Yes. You always have to share a bathroom with 1 or 2 people. It's not possible to choose a room with 2 other friends from the same gender. It is possible, but you have to be very lucky that you're all 3 are able to book the rooms, but we'll get
we'll
to
get to that. Theoretically, that's possible. And for the student that says he's 31, I will talk about eligibility right now. So who is eligible to book one of these SSH rooms that we have in our portfolio? This is for first-year international or exchange students between the ages of 16 and 30 years. This is a hard rule. Generally, most of these rules are set by SSH themselves, and they are not something that we can make any exceptions in. So unfortunately, anybody over the age of 30 will not be able to book one of these rooms. About the nationality, they are not available to students with the Dutch nationality. This is also a hard rule that SSH holds and that we cannot make an exception on. I saw somebody who's saying, like, I have dual citizenship. I'll explain to you what the reason is that we have this rule, and it's mainly because international students face different difficulties while searching for a room. I'm not entirely sure what we do with someone with dual citizenship, but the thing is, you do have Dutch citizenship. So in that sense, I would say you're not eligible. You must have been accepted into one of our study programs. Just means you have to be a student at RUAS. We do not accept students from different educational institutes. The reservations are done on a first-come, first-served basis. What that means, and I think we'll get into that a bit more later, but what that means is the booking platform is going to open at a certain time point, and at that point, everybody who wants to book a room should be ready. All the rooms will become available at the same time, and you will or you will not be able to book a room. When we say first come, first served, it's a little bit like when you're trying to book a concert ticket, imagine there's a certain amount of rooms available, but if there are more people trying to book than rooms available,
which will happen.
Yeah, most likely, like we're quite certain that will happen, even if it's the February season. Not everybody will be able to book, and that means that even if you're there on time, it's no guarantee that you're able to book a room.
Or able to see a room. Sometimes, same as with concert tickets, they're available, but someone is there faster and you're not able to see the different options. We've had some problems with that like the past few semesters, people saying that it was a scam and rooms were not available at all. It's not the case, just sometimes someone else is faster and you just don't see the different options, unfortunately.
Yeah. Lastly, when you register, you'll have the option to either register as an exchange student or a full degree student, and it's important there that you pick the option that applies to you. Regarding the questions, most of the questions I see in the chat now, we will come to later.
I would say the one from Megan is a good one. If you're in your second year at your current university and exchanging for the spring semester, you are eligible, because here for us, you're a new student, so that's no problem at all. Exchange.
It was worded a little bit poorly on the slide. So it's basically it's first time to RUAS. So either if you're there's not many bachelor students in this current semester, but if it's your first time at RUAS, so if you're a master student, of course you wouldn't really be a first year student. If you're exchange student, maybe not as well, but it's your first time with us. Also, Riante, I'm really sorry, but that is personally, we're not really very supportive of this because it feels very unfair. If you're from Curaçao, you're literally from the other side of the world, and you may have never even been in the Netherlands. But if you hold a Dutch passport, these are unfortunately not the rooms for you. And the same, I'm 33, so I'm not eligible. Exactly.
We wish we could give everyone a room, and if it was up to us, we would make sure everyone is eligible. But unfortunately, SSH is pretty strict, especially now that things are changing with the laws. They want to make sure that everything is done correctly, and we have to follow those rules, unfortunately, as well.
And somebody asked why is there an age limit? Obviously, it's a bit of an arbitrary cutoff point, but the reason for that is because most students are a lot younger than 30, obviously not all, but it's to kind of decrease the differences in age between the students that are living in the same apartment. SSH has had experiences in the past where, for instance, somebody who is 18 has been living with somebody who is 35. And obviously, It doesn't have to be a problem, but they've encountered as many problems with it in the past, so they don't want to do that again. So Carlos, yes, you can.
Yes.
For the other students who are not eligible, it's true that you will have to find a room on the private market, and we will get to the private market as well in the second half of this
If you
webinar.
want, you can get a drink and come back in 15 minutes, because then this is,
I'll
around
try.
that time.
VDKA, the Art Academy, is part of RUAS.
Yeah, we always get questions about that because it seems like it's separate, but no, you are eligible. It is part of RUAS. It's just not communicated as that. If you're an international student, I would say if you're an exchange student, if you're coming here for 1 semester, you choose exchange. If you're here for your master or pre-master, you have to select full degree.
I think we'll move on to the next slide, and I think a lot of questions will be answered along the way.
Yes, so the registration process. Registration basically means that you sign up and you tell us, hey, I'm interested in renting the rooms, and that is no booking yet. And that is on the 21st of November. No time, just whenever it turns the 21st, you should be able to register. And what you do is you just make an account, you select that you're either an exchange student or a full degree student, and then it gets sent to us, and we will check if you're actually a RUAS student or not, and then approve you. And then the reservation process, which is actually the booking, is the 28th of November, 12 p.m. afternoon Dutch time, which means that on that time you will be able to book a room. Here you can also find a link to our registration. You can already use that link now, but please only do it to look around, because if you register now before the 21st, you will not be approved and you have to do it again. And then let's see. Do you know when we will get the confirmation? I believe that's for an exchange student. I know that their VDKA, that's a bit separate, so we're not completely sure when you will hear that. Other exchange student will either hear something today or the beginning of next week, depending on how it goes with the platform. But you should hear something very soon. But I'm pretty sure everyone was placed, so no need to worry about that. Any questions about this slide? Is it clear what you have to do on the 21st and what you have to do on the 28th?
I would say that basically when we say there's no time on the 21st, you have anywhere between the 21st and the 28th. So you can register on the 21st, on the 22nd, on the 23rd. It doesn't really matter.
I would say don't do it on the 28th because that day will be very busy and I'm not sure if I can still check your your registration then. So the sooner you do it, the sooner you know whether everything was okay and if you were approved. If you're not approved, you will always get a message from us with what you have to adjust and how to do that. So I would say do it like somewhere in the week of the 21st. Don't wait until the last day.
But generally it takes us about 1 or 2 days to check your registration, and then you will know whether you've been approved or not.
And we will check everyone, so no need to send us messages like, hey, I haven't been approved yet. You will hear back from us before the 28th. Like, no worries, we will check everyone. Just if you do it earlier, you might receive an answer from us earlier.
About the person saying 12 a.m. CMT, it is 12 p.m. CMT. So I will make sure that it's changed.
Thank you for letting us know.
It's not at midnight, it's at midday.
We will send you an email, I would say somewhere next week or the week after, to give you instructions about what to do. And then you will also receive the link. And then via the platform, you will receive a message that says you were approved or something has to be adjusted.
And instructions for this process, they're also already on our website.
Will first registration get first approval? No. I mean, yes, but it doesn't give you priority to book. Sorry.
No. Everybody who gets approved will have access to the booking platform
at the same
on the
time,
28th at 12 p.m. I think we'll move to the next one, maybe. Okay, so how it works. you on the link that you saw on the previous slide, you will make your registration from the 21st of November onwards. And what will happen is that you will receive a registration status in your profile. If we haven't looked at your registration yet, your status will be for approval. We will then check every registration to see if you're eligible and if all the information that you provided is correct. If you are eligible for a room and the information was correct, your status will be set to approved. If something is missing or something is maybe wrong and you have to adjust it, we will disapprove your registration and you will receive a message with what you need to do. Or if you registered but you're not actually eligible because maybe you're not the right age or whatever one of the other criteria that we mentioned, you will also be set to not approved and you will receive a message from us with a reason. Now, after you registered, you will have access to SSH platform where you will be able to see all the rooms that will become available on the time that the booking platform opens. So you'll be able to have a look around and kind of see what the differences are between the 3 different buildings that we have. The pictures that are shown, they're not exactly of each individual room, but you have to imagine that in all of the 3 buildings, the rooms in that building are incredibly similar.
Yeah, they all have the same style, they have the same furniture, but sometimes the layout is different, or they have a different color of wall paint, but no major differences, I would say.
That's pretty much how it works. If your status is set to approved before November 28th, 12 p.m., which, like we said, we will make sure that it's the case for everyone, except if you wait until the very last minute to register. Yeah. You will have access to the booking platform then on the 28th and hopefully be able to book a room.
I do want to say that the rooms that will be visible are only for, if you're exchange male, you will only see those rooms that are available for your group.
Yes.
So they're divided.
As I said in the beginning, there's about 120, 130 rooms in total, but you'll not be able to see 120 rooms. Yeah. So if you're a female, you'll just see the rooms that will become available for females.
Yeah.
We'll have another quick look at the questions.
What are the chances to get a room?
That really, yeah, that's very hard to say. So that really depends on how many students are going to sign up. So I'll give you some numbers from different registration periods just to give you an idea, but it's really, we really can't make a good guess on that. So last year in February, we actually had, and it was quite exceptional, but we actually had some rooms left at the end. So there were a bit more rooms than students. I don't expect that to happen again, but it happened before. If you compare that to September, in September, we have a few more rooms. We have about 200 rooms and we had about 800 registrations. So students had about a chance of 1 in 4 to book a room. So if you had to make a guess, it would be somewhere between maybe 1 in 2 and 1 in 4, your chance.
But the February intake, especially for the exchange group, it is smaller, but the master program is luckily growing, but it also means with the masters, there's more people and less rooms for everyone. But we don't know how many people are, or how many students are joining. So that's hard to give an estimation. And also not everyone signs up.
That's true.
Yeah.
If you apply and you don't get offered a room, is there still time? Well, there is still time. However, I would say start looking on the private market already. Yeah. You don't know if you'll be able to book one of these rooms. So just to be sure, look already. And if you find something else, just don't register for this. Just let it be. Yeah. The most important thing is that you find something, whether it's in an SSH building or on the private market. Mm-hmm. About the acceptance letter, it's basically, it doesn't matter if you've received the acceptance letter. We don't look at that. We look at whether you're eligible based on whether you applied. If for whatever reason, it's probably not likely, but if for whatever reason you're not accepted yet at the time of booking, you'll have to cancel the room basically. But we don't look at that. You don't need the letter to apply.
Yeah. And if you apply and don't, wait, let's see. I had a question, but I cannot find it anymore. if you're a September 2024 joiner, then this webinar is not for you yet because it's for the spring semester.
Yes.
You are able to listen to everything because it will be the same.
It will be similar
to September, but the private market, you can already listen to that if you want. But yeah, the dates are not for you.
Anybody who's starting in September will not be approved if they register now, because these rooms become available for the 1st of February. However, if you are starting in September, my main advice would be just to start searching for rooms, well, not right now maybe, but early on in the next year.
Yeah. No, Vera, you are just very early and on time, so good.
Not bad at all, but yeah, this is not applicable to you. And yeah, most of these other questions, again, they'll come up.
Yeah.
Right, then after you've completed the registration process, you have been approved, and you have had access to the booking platform, and you were lucky enough to find a room. You have to imagine you will see it if there's still a room available. You're able to click on it and book it, basically. After that, you will receive a confirmation email, and you will then have 24 hours to complete the down payment for the room. Now, this may be a little bit complicated, but I'll try to explain it as best I can. So you have 24 hours to complete the down payment. The down payment has to be done by credit card. SSH does not accept any other form of payment. However, it doesn't have to be your credit card. It can be one of your family members' credit card or somebody you know, as long as you're allowed to use it. But you'll need a credit card for it. If 24 hours is a little bit too short notice for you to pay, you can manually extend this period to 48 hours in your account, but no longer. So one way or the other, you'll have to complete the down payment within at most 48 hours. If you don't do that, your booking will automatically be cancelled. You will not be charged anything. It will be cancelled for free, but the room will become available again, and another student who didn't book a room yet is able to then book that room if they're fast enough. So what do you have to pay? Basically, the down payment that you have to complete pretty much immediately after booking the room consists of the first month rent and the last 2 months rent for the room, a reservation fee of 90 euros, and then a tax fee of 9%. And that is 9% of the entire rental period. So for all the 6 months, the rental price, and then 9% of that. And then additionally, optional, a bedsheet package. The rooms are furnished, but there's no bed sheets and pillow covers and these kind of things. So if you're not wanting to bring that from home, you can choose to book that as well. We are aware that this is a lot of money. It's actually something quite new with SSH. It's something we are personally very unhappy about, because we know that for some of you, it is a huge amount to be paying right up front. Yeah. So yeah, it's something we're really sorry about, but we're not able to change.
We really try to fight for it, but unfortunately...
it's a new rule at SSH. And part of that new rule is, so upfront you pay the first and the last 2 months rent, and then the remaining 3 months, because in February, all the contracts are for 6 months, you will have to pay, from what we know, before the first month of your contract is up. So that basically means that before you've stayed in that room for 1 month, you will have already paid for the entire rental period. Yeah. Now, at the last sentence here on the slide, I've included a calculation for the 9% fee and how that works. So the example is, say you book a room in Robert Baalde, which is one of the 3 locations, and the rent is 475 euros a month. You don't need the bedsheet package, so you're just taking the room and that's it. The down payment, so the amount that you would have to pay within the 24 hours, would be 475 for the first month rent, then 2 times 475 for the last 2 months rent, 90 euros for the reservation fee, and then the 9%, as you can see, you take the whole of the 6 months, so 6 times 475, you take 9% of that, so it's another 256 euros, and the down payment would be more or less 1,800 euros. I hope that is clear. Like I said, it's not something we're happy about, but this is the reality of these rooms. If you're looking at this and you're saying like, this is way too much for me to pay so soon on in my education, then my best advice is go on the private market. There's a lot of different options on the private market, but generally speaking, the down payments that you have to do or the deposit that you have to pay is a lot lower. So SSH, just to be clear, they don't have any kind of deposit. You don't have to pay any kind of amount that you will get back at the end, but instead they ask you to pay basically the rental period almost completely upfront.
And they did this actually to kind of have it as a deposit because they saw that people were leaving earlier, not paying the last 1 or 2 months rent. And then we were out of money. So it's pretty much to protect everyone that it is paid. It is not, we don't agree with it, but unfortunately they decided to do that.
Yes.
The bedsheet package, I believe it is to keep.
I think so, yeah.
It's not something special, but it is nice to have it when you arrive that you don't have to go run to a store to find something.
Yeah, it's optional basically.
Yeah. And we also had a question about the rooms. I believe we will say that later, but yeah, it's including everything. You do have to buy a Wi-Fi router one time, but there is connection. You just have to turn it into Wi-Fi.
And gas, water, electricity, taxes, that's
all included.
Yeah, that is included in the price. Somebody's saying my starting date is January 26. We'll get to the exact periods of these rooms. They're completely set. So we'll get to that in a minute. Yeah. And credit cards, so not debit cards. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Which dates must I be prepared for the registration? You saw that on the previous slide. And it's also on our website. It's the 21st of November.
I would say between the 21st and the 27th, preferably. You can register. Is it possible to pay for less than 6 months? We will get to that, but no, they're fixed periods. The bedsheet package is $57.50.
Yeah, about the Wi-Fi, I'm not sure actually if it's the same in all 3 of the locations.
That could be.
About the Wi-Fi, it depends a little bit, but all of the accommodations have Wi-Fi connection. But I know that in at least one of them, you have to like bring your own router to put it on, how do you say, on cable in the wall. Yeah. This is something that we're not too sure about. I'll explain later on the slides as well that for some questions, it's best to contact SSH directly because in the end, you have to imagine it's their rooms and they take care of all of that. We'll try to answer the questions as best we can, but for specific questions like that, it's best to contact SSH directly.
We just want to prepare you because we had some people who were surprised and we also actually didn't know that you may need a router. But yeah, so just so you know, it could happen that you have to buy that. If we're able to say anything about the proof of money, proof of sufficient funds, that is something from the student support team, but you will hear about anything related to your visa and things like that from them soon. As soon as you're accepted, they will get all the information about each student and what you have to hand in. Yes. And since we're not from that team, we also don't want to give information that's not accurate.
Exactly.
Next one? Yeah. Oh, the maximum period of stay is 6 months. Yes. Exchange student can register. Yes, you're allowed to register.
It's both full degree, masters, pre-masters, exchange students. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And like one of these questions, like what if something is damaged inside the room? Do we get extra charges? That is also something best to contact SSH about directly. So how you have to imagine it is we reserve these rooms from them to give to you, but they are not our rooms. They are SSH rooms. We'll get to that at a later slide as well.
So yeah, what if you're unable to book a room? Yeah, as I said before, a lot of people are going to try to book a room at the same time. Some of you will see all of the rooms. Some of them will not be available. It's really a hit or miss. We cannot explain why it happens. But sometimes the website is just a bit overwhelmed with the amount of people trying to book a room at the same time. So often they sell out within minutes. For example, if after 10 minutes you are not able to see a room, that means that they're not available. But if you cannot see a room within the first few seconds, it could be that you have to refresh and they do show up. But generally, they would be booked within 1 or 2 minutes, I would say. So you go into my details in your account, and there you can actually click on something that will tell you when there is a room available. So sometimes if someone doesn't complete their down payment after 24 hours, then the room becomes available again. And if you said that you wanted to be notified, you will get an email that a room is available. I would recommend not waiting for that. I would just be ready after 24 hours. So 12 o'clock on the 29th, just look around. Maybe there is a room available because someone did not reserve their room. The same goes for 48 hours, because sometimes people extend it. Just try it. And sometimes people also cancel at some point, and then it also becomes available. Doesn't happen often, but it happens. It's worth clicking it on. It's a very small thing to do, and it might help you get a room. Are you under 18? Were you unable to book a room? Under 18, I think no one will be under 18 because it's master programs and exchange, but we'll just say, just in case, we set aside a few rooms for people who are under 18, because we noticed that on the private market, it's literally impossible to find something because no one wants to accept people under 18. So if you're under 18, you were not able to book a room, just let us know, and we can see what we can do. We cannot guarantee it, but we will try our best. Let's see. Yeah, we will. The slides, I believe we will, will be uploaded on YouTube, the whole presentation.
Yes.
But we can also send them if you need them. Let's see. So if you only stay for 6 months, you have your room for 6 months, but you stay a year, unfortunately, you will have to leave your room after 6 months and then have to find something on the private market, because you're not able to book a room twice with SSH. So unfortunately, the second half of your year, you will have to find something else. But it's nice that you have something for a few months, and while you're here, you can look for something on the private market.
And it will be different. You have to imagine in the next semester, a lot of other students are going on exchanges and will be subletting the rooms temporarily as well. And you have contacts here. You will have been
You're
here
in the
half a year.
city.
It's not ideal. It might be better in that case to find something on the private market, but at least it can help.
Felipe, your question about the bank transfer and the down payment. The down payment is something for SSH, so it's not related to RUAS. I agree that you have to pay a lot of money. You have to transfer the money to us, but also pay to SSH. It's a lot of money. We totally agree. But it's two separate things. With us, it's that you have to show that you have enough money, but with SSH, it's that they want to have, you're paying for the room.
Okay, so the total amount of rooms. So you'll see some of the rooms will be available only to exchange students, and some will only be available to full degree. So that's either bachelor, master, or pre-master. All of the rooms have a rental period from the 1st of February until July 31st. That is a set period. If you arrive a bit later than February 1st, that is no problem at all, but the rental period remains the same. It cannot be shortened, it cannot be lengthened. This is a set rental period. You'll see that we have a total of 128 rooms for the upcoming semester. Most of them are in the Erasmus International House and Robert Baalde, which you will see on the first two pictures. And then we have just a very small amount of rooms as well in the Hatta building. All of these rooms are located in the neighborhood of Kralingen, which is, as we said in the beginning, it's really close around the business school, which is where most of you will be going. You'll see as well the average rent per month, it differs a little bit. The rooms in Robert Baalde are a little bit less expensive. It also has to do with the size of the room. Not every room is priced the same. Like in Erasmus International House, you have somewhat larger, somewhat smaller rooms. This also has an influence on the price. So somebody's saying, like, I arrive on the 24th, so you arrive earlier, you can take the room, but you can take it from February 1st. So if you arrive earlier, you'll have to book something, a hotel, a hostel, an Airbnb for the first nights, but you can pick up the keys from the 1st of February onwards. Until then, there will be other students living in those apartments.
Which is closest to VDKA? I would say Robert Baalde, but
They're really close by.
I would say all three of them are okay. I think those are all the questions. If you're an exchange student for a full year, you cannot register again for this fall semester, unfortunately. So you also have to look for something else.
When we say the contracts cannot be amended, so they cannot be lengthened or shortened, this is a really, really strict rule set by SSH. It means that if you want to leave earlier, so if you leave before July 31st, that's of course completely fine, but it doesn't change anything about the rental period. And also there is nothing we can do to extend the rental period. So if you're saying, I'm staying for 1 year, but this room is only for 6 months, that is correct. And it is also correct that then next semester we'll have more rooms for 6 months, but you cannot book it a second time and we cannot change your reservation to 1 year. It is something that SSH does not allow and that we cannot make any exceptions on. Which are the most popular?
All of them.
It really depends. You see there's a price difference. Personally, I like the I building.
Yeah, me too. Because it has a rooftop with a nice view of the city.
I would say the I building is perhaps a little bit more modern than the Robert Baalde. The rooms are a little bit larger, but as you can see, the price is also quite a bit higher on average. So it really depends. And I would be happy as well to live in the Robert Baalde.
And Hatta.
Hatta is very nice.
Is next door. So if you're lazy and you want to wake up 5 minutes before your class, choose Hatta.
Probably Hatta is the nicest, but we have only 8 rooms there.
We will get to the private market, Mohammed. Don't worry.
Yeah,
we just have to explain this first. I think that was it.
And somebody's asking about experience in the dorms. We've never lived in these buildings, but both of us will have lived in similar buildings. Personally, I've always really liked it.
Yeah.
I think especially for studying, it's a really nice experience to get to know people. I think you do have to imagine everybody's a bit different. There are a lot of other students living around you, on top of you, below you, on the same hallway. So somebody who really needs and wants privacy and peace and quiet, perhaps it's better to find something in a different area, but it really depends on what you prefer.
Also good to say you share the buildings with the Erasmus University, which is next door. They're also in all buildings. So it's a nice mix of RUAS students, but also RUAS students from VDKA, but also business school and other, like all parts of the school, but also Erasmus students. And it's really people from all over the world.
Yes.
It's a nice way to meet people from anywhere. So if you can, I would recommend it.
Okay, just Fuad, I'm just looking at your message. To be clear, you can only rent for 6 months with a prepayment of 17 euros. 1,700 euros. Yeah, that depends. That was just in the example of the Robert Baalde room. So if you have a more expensive room, it will be higher. And then you also have to pay 3 months. And this is for 6 months. Yes. So what it means is pretty much at the beginning, you will have paid the totality of your rental period. And then for all those other months that you're staying there, you don't have to pay anything.
Total capacity of housing for Erasmus students, but you probably mean Erasmus as in the program. So that is, if for the exchange students, 64 rooms available for exchange students. If you talk about Erasmus University, they have more rooms, unfortunately, and more students. So for example, in the Hatta building, there's only 8 of our students, so there will be a lot of Erasmus students. And in Erasmus International House and Robert Baalde, it might be a more equal mix. But So what if you need to cancel, for example, if you don't know if you're accepted yet and you are not accepted and you have to cancel. So if that's more than 4 weeks before the start date of your contract, before January 1st, so basically December, send an email to SSH to request to cancel. You will receive the money back let's see, except for the cancellation fee and the reservation fee, which is 90 euros and 85 euros. So it is a risk to book something.
If you're not sure that
if you're not
accepted.
sure, or if you're not sure if you actually want to book this room or want to stay here. But I would always say risk it, because it is very hard to find something. But of course, there can also be other circumstances. If it's less than 4 weeks before your contract, then there are some criteria that you will receive when you book in the terms and conditions. Check that first, then send us an email to request cancellation. If it's not in line with the terms and conditions, we will have to find a new student who wants to take over your contract. We will help you with this. We will say that it's probably not going to be hard to find someone because a lot of people are still looking then. But the contract will be handed over to the new students. They do have to be from RUAS, but it is possible. For example, if you want to leave 2 months before your contract ends for any reason, you can leave, but unfortunately you will still have to finish the contract and still have to pay for the 2 months. If you want to leave, for example, after 2 months, after you started and you have 4 months left, then it is no problem. But if there's only 2 months left or less, then unfortunately it's not possible because it's very hard to find someone for just 2 months. You get the down payment back minus 85 and 90 euros.
I think the summary is, if you want to cancel the room and it's less than 4 weeks before the start of your contract, contact us and we'll help you figure it out.
Yeah, we have helped a lot of students like this. It's usually quite easy to find someone depending on the period of the year and how long there's left. Because not everyone wants to rent something for only 2.5 months, for example. Let's see, I think we had all the questions. Yeah, the cheapest room, so it's already around 3,000 euros.
Yes.
That's correct, yeah.
I would say, though, if you look on the private market, because obviously for this room, you have to pay a lot in one go. And also you have this 9% tax fee. Mm-hmm. That is generally not something you will find on the private market.
No, it is very, let's say, affordable. Not cheap, but affordable.
Here's a picture of the cancellation process. I'm not going to go over this. I've just put it in here so that when you want to watch it back, you can maybe pause it and have a look at it. It's also available on SSH website, but this basically summarizes or visualizes what we just talked about.
Yeah.
Then some of the differences, just to give you a bit of an idea, what is it that RUAS does, what is it we do, and what is it that SSH does. So as we said in the beginning, SSH is a foundation for student accommodations. They are their own foundation that they own these rooms. We as RUAS, we don't own any of these rooms. Maybe also good to mention, there's no profit margin or anything like that. So even though you see that these rooms they're not cheap, we don't make any money on them.
It's an extra service that we offer.
Yes. So there's nothing of the sort in that for us. It's actually the other way around, in that RUAS takes the financial risk for these rooms. So if there were, for whatever reason, no students to take the rooms, then we would pay for them. So we basically reserve these rooms from SSH and we act as a guarantor for them. We can mediate. We are allowed to make decisions about the rooms. We're the ones that check and approve the registrations and communicate generally with you guys as students. However, SSH is who owns the rooms. They are the landlord. They are the ones that receive the rent from you. They're the ones that you sign a contract with. They are in charge of repairs and any problems that you might face in the room. That's what you should contact them for. Any rules about living there, that's all with them, getting the keys, etc. I hope that kind of clears up the distinction between the two of us. You'll see that if you have a question and you email us, if we know it, we will help you. But in some cases, we will refer you to SSH because some things, it's better if they handle it directly.
If you have questions about anything before you book, please reach out to us, because SSH is a very big organization who also doesn't know the specifics about each school. So please send us a message if you have questions about eligibility or when it opens, all of those things.
Yes. And about the webinar, you will also later on, like somewhere next week, you will receive an email with the link to watch the webinar back.
Yeah, so a short recap. So the registration opens on the 21st of November. Registration is just saying that you're interested in the rooms. Then the booking platforms are actually able to book a room is on the 28th of November, 12 o'clock Dutch time. There's a fixed rental period of February 1st until July 31st. Even if you want to arrive later or go home earlier, it is still the same rental period. You will still have to pay for every single day. The rooms are furnished, so they all have a bed, closet, desk, chair, and a lamp. I'm not forgetting anything. You have your own room. You don't share it with anyone. You're not allowed to live there with two people, but you do share the apartment with one or two other students of the same gender. The rent depends on the building, and as we showed earlier, you're able to see that once you registered. It includes water, electricity, taxes, and Wi-Fi. There's a down payment of the first month and the last 2 months, the reservation fee of 90 euros, and then the tax fee of 9%. And if you want the bedsheet package, is also available. You do have to indicate that once you book and not once you arrive, because once you arrive, they might not have it available. So it's better to indicate it as soon as possible. As I said, you have to pay for the entire rental period. If you arrive earlier, you unfortunately do have to arrange other accommodation. We can give you some recommendations, but we're not able to offer you anything, unfortunately. You're not allowed to have any pets there. The room is only for one person, no sharing allowed. If you have any questions during the registration
that's not worded that well. No.
I would say if you have any questions about specifically the buildings, your room, the contract, contact SSH. If you have questions about your status, the reservation and registration dates, why you're not approved yet, for example, you can email us.
Yeah. I see some people asking as well about guests in the room. This is another question that is best answered by SSH. Yeah. The information that we received from them, generally the answer is no. However, as we said, it's their rooms, it's their rules. We don't really have anything to say about that. So these kind of questions are best directed at SSH, and you see their email address right here.
Yeah. Yep. Will we know which study program? Yes, you will know your study program either today or early next week. So you will for sure know that before. We will get to the private market right now.
Yes. So for those who are not eligible, I'm sorry that you had to wait this long before we start on this topic.
Can we just go back for 1 second for Caroline? It says afternoon, so 12 p.m. Dutch time, but on the website, apparently it says 12 a.m. On the SSH website, which we will get adjusted. On the 21st, it's just any time on the 21st, but it's November on like 12 o'clock afternoon Dutch time. But thank you for pointing that out.
So it's not in the middle of the night?
No. For some, it may be, but usually in Europe, no. Sorry.
Okay. So the housing market in the Netherlands in general, you probably already know this, and it's the same in a lot of cities in the world right now, but it's the same in Rotterdam. The housing market is currently extremely competitive. We have a housing crisis. We don't have enough housing for anyone, basically. Not for students, not for professionals. It's a big crisis for everyone right here. We will strongly advise you to start looking for an accommodation as soon as you know that you are coming here. Even if you start in time, it may still take a long while. And we sadly, especially in September, when there are way more students, we've sadly seen that there are still students who haven't found something by the time they start their education. So the sooner you start searching, the better. If you know you're coming in February, I would start looking today. We know that the registrations for these rooms open in in a couple of weeks. Do not wait for that. Start looking for yourself on the private market already, and you might find something there. I know that a lot of you will think, oh, but it's easiest if I live really close to the university. I will look in a certain radius of where my university building is or the city center of Rotterdam. I would not advise that. I would advise to widen your search. We actually have a really good public transport system in the Netherlands, and all of the university buildings and Rotterdam in general are very easily reached by train, by metro, and of course by bike.
Yeah.
So I would say widen your search. We've listed here a couple of, how would you say? I think in another country you would maybe call them suburb or suburban areas, but these are kind of cities so adjacent to Rotterdam that they kind of belong to Rotterdam. Even some of the surrounding cities, like Dordrecht or Den Haag or Delft, are actually not that far from the city by train. So if you're having trouble finding something more central, please just widen your search and be a bit more open-minded, and you will see that it's very easy to travel to the university from a lot of places.
For example, I live in Schiedam, and it's only a 15-minute drive. Some places in Rotterdam will be further than that. So there's it doesn't mean that it's only because it's out of Rotterdam, it doesn't mean it takes longer to travel.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
It's actually closer. When I lived in Rotterdam, it was actually further away from the school than where Ruby is living. And she says drive because she has a car, but it's maybe like 15 to 20 minutes on the metro as well with a direct line. Then lastly, RUAS does not mediate between landlords on the private market and the students. I think this is kind of speaks for itself. However, of course, if you do have any questions or any doubts, we are available for any of that.
I also want to say that you will receive an email from us soon, but part of the introduction team. The introduction team organizes a lot of things so you can get to know each other. And part of that is also that we come up with a way to meet each other on WhatsApp. So we will create a WhatsApp group where you can all be in one group together. So you can, for example, meet each other and see if that you can rent something together, and find others to rent something with.
Exactly.
And in that group, you're also welcome to send us questions because we will both be in that group. Feel free to send us things. It is our private number, so don't expect us to reply at 3 a.m. But we're both willing and very flexible to help you. So feel free to reach out to us if you want.
Any questions that you might have.
Also, during the registration and the booking period, feel free to message there. Sometimes it's easier to get a reply from us on WhatsApp instead of emailing. And in that way, we want to help you guys as much as we can.
I'll say something else. I saw somebody ask about passport transportation, and it's really expensive. It kind of depends on what you need, on how many times you need to go anywhere. I personally live in Den Haag, which is a city about 30 kilometers away. I go by public transport, but I don't have a transport pass because it's actually more expensive to have a transport pass sometimes than to just pay a ticket. It really depends on where you live. If you're worried about it, you can email us and we can give you some advice there as well. Yeah. But generally as well, a lot of places are reachable by bike. So if you live in Schiedam, for instance, and I said it was maybe 15 or 20 minutes on the metro, it's very easily done by bicycle as well. And that's the cheapest option in all cases.
Unfortunately, for students, there's no travel card. I do believe for master students, there is something possible, but exchange students, unfortunately not. But you will be able to ask questions about that once you're here. I will send a website where you can check how much transportation is between two places. You can type in the starting address and the end address, and you will see exactly what are the best options to take and how much will it cost. So feel free to look at that website. It's 9292.nl. The travel card free, as I said, you have to you have to ask about that once you're here because it's not through us. We wish we could give that to you, but it's from the government, yes. Which is a new thing that they just started. So we don't know how it works exactly, unfortunately.
Yeah, I see now a lot of questions about public transport. I would say maybe first have a look online because we're trying to keep it short, but we're clearly not really keeping it short. So I don't want to answer everything. I see somebody talking about Eindhoven. Eindhoven is actually pretty far. I would say if you have a place where you can stay in Eindhoven when you first get here, like hold on to it. Like,
Yeah,
it's definitely better than nothing, but that is quite far away. And you'll find that trains from there, if you have to go to Rotterdam every day, it will be very expensive.
And if we can send the WhatsApp group, we will send that in around 1 to 2 weeks. We will send an email to you, and then you can join.
Yes.
From the link.
Okay, we'll move on to the next slide.
Yes.
It? Yes.
So here we have a list of websites, options. Where can you look? There are some agencies that you can look at. Here we just mentioned some of them. For example, the Social Hub is a hotel where you can rent a room, but you can rent it for 6 months. It is quite pricey, but it is a very good location. Some of them are agencies, and some of them, for example, Housing Anywhere is a platform. We highly recommend Housing Anywhere. It is still very difficult to find something, but there are always many different options that you can find there. The same goes for kamernet.nl. It is a place where people can just offer their room, and you can book it, I believe, through the website itself. So it should be safe to book from there. Then, for example, hospi housing is something that is new. It's where people offer a room in their house. For example, an older couple who has a spare room and they want to have an cultural exchange, and you can rent a room from them in their house. And the other options, I would say, just look at them. Some of them are agencies with their own apartments. Some of them are just mediators. For example, Fairland Vlaardingen, they have their own, I would say, studios available. So just go through them. Most of you will probably find something on Facebook. There are many rooms available there, but it's also quite hard to find something. I will send the word for room in Dutch in the chat, kamer. Just type that in, Kamer, Rotterdam, and you will find lots of Facebook groups. Just join some of them, look around, send messages, try to find something. And we also created a Facebook group, which I will also send here, but has been sent to you already in the email for the housing webinar. It's a room, like a group where you guys can meet each other, find maybe something together. We also emailed the students who are going abroad themselves if they want to offer their room there. It's mostly to bring you guys together. It's an extra service that we wanted to offer. It's not officially part of RUAS. It's more our personal idea that you can maybe find someone to book an apartment with. So that is that link. Some of you already joined, but feel free to join there. Write something about yourself, what you're looking for, and we will approve you and you can start looking. Let's see. Yeah, so I would say just look on these websites. These are the ones that we can say that they're legit.
I would say somebody already shared the link in the chat as well, but on our webpage, you also find a longer list with even more housing providers. These are some examples. I've seen a lot of people ask in the chat, like, oh, which one should I use? What is best for me? We can't answer that. They're all different. You will see that some of them offer apartments, some of them offer studios, some of them offer rooms. It really depends on what is available as well. So my best advice would be just to go through all of them. You will see that for some of them, you have to pay a membership fee. Some of them are free to use. We know that a lot of students looking for just a regular room use Housing Anywhere and Kamernet. These are quite common, but definitely also use Facebook because Facebook is free. Like many other people, we like things that are free. So it's used very much by Dutch people and other internationals that are already living here. We'll get to the scams at the end as well. We'll get to that later.
Rotterdam to stay, I believe they are, yes, that you have to sign up, that they pick one person. Sometimes that happens because of the housing crisis, that they cannot guarantee that you get it, but you have, there's a lottery, but it really depends on each apartment even. It doesn't mean the whole website is like that. So just look around these websites and see what is available.
And there are more websites as well. Not all of them are listed on our sites. It's just a long list that we have of the ones that we know. What I would suggest, because I know some of you might be coming with a partner or with family and might not need a room, but really an apartment. Most of the information on our website is more focused on really student housing, so a bit more shared housing. There's also plenty of offices in Rotterdam and surrounding areas that are focused more on apartments. It sounds simple, but Google is your friend. You can use the list on our webpage, but also really look around on the internet, see what you can find. If you have doubts about the legitimacy of a website, or you don't know if something is a good idea, then please contact us and we'll look through it with you. Then just a little overview of what kind of accommodations you can expect to find in Rotterdam and surroundings. So we have student housing, which is, for instance, what SSH offers. So these are huge buildings with different apartments, but all completely focused on student accommodation, with generally with shared amenities within smaller apartments. The second one, room within a house or student house, this is probably the most common way for students to find housing. So this is just regular apartment buildings or houses with several bedrooms, generally with a shared living room and generally with shared bathroom, but it depends a little bit. And there can be 2, 3, 4, or in some cases, very many students living in the same house. Everyone has their own bedroom. This is the most common thing you will find, and this is mainly what you'll see advertised on Facebook and Kamernet, and these are also generally the most affordable options that are out there. Then there's studio apartments. We have a lot of options for that in Rotterdam in various different price ranges, but obviously it will always be more expensive than a room in a shared house. Same goes for apartments. It really depends on your needs and on your budget, of course, but we found in the housing crisis that prices for apartments have skyrocketed. So even for us who live and work in the Netherlands, it can be really tough already to afford our own apartment, especially with one person. So really have a look into it and see if that is something that is affordable to you. And then the last option is the hospita that we briefly mentioned, which is when a family or a couple or somebody who owns a house decides to rent out just one room in their house to a student. It's not as common in the Netherlands, and we're kind of trying to promote it a little bit because it's kind of an undervalued option. So have a look into that. See, it's kind of like a host family where you would be staying at.
But I actually mentioned older couples, for example, as earlier, but I actually do it too. I currently have a exchange student in my house. Also did it last year twice, so this is the third time. It's a great way to also have the international experience, but also have the local Dutch experience.
That's a really big difference, because these student houses, very often you're sharing them with other international students, which is of course really nice. In these situations, in hospital situation, it's way more. You'll be in contact with somebody from the Netherlands, and you'll have a different perspective on everything.
And usually it's a bit more quiet. For example, my student only lives with me in a nice, clean apartment, so it is something different. If you're more maybe private or more clean, if you're looking for something like that, maybe that is a good option for you. But I would say if you're interested, you can always send us a message, because my room will also be available again in February or end of January. And my brother will probably also do it. He's 23 and is also the same age as you guys probably. So it's a fun way to like get an apartment, but also live with a local who can introduce you to many different like types of food or the area, their friends. It's a nice alternative that we're trying to promote a bit here, and we're trying to get some teachers to also do it. If that happens, we will always either send an email to you or post it on the Facebook page if a room like that becomes available.
Yes, exactly. Then generally rooms and apartments, they are either furnished or unfurnished. It really depends on the type of situation. If it's subletting or if it's apartments specifically for international students, very often they are furnished. But a lot of rooms on the private market are unfurnished as well. It really depends. And you have to have a good look as well to see if the rental prices they show are inclusive or exclusive. If they're exclusive, it means that gas, water, electricity, Wi-Fi is not included in the price. Generally, with student rooms or just rooms in a shared house, generally the prices are all inclusive. That's the norm, but it's not always the case. So have a good look at that, because if it's not included, then the price can be variable and it might differ from month to month. If you have a situation like that and you're not sure if it's a good idea, once again, email us, ask us, and we'll help you.
I think we would suggest to do including if you can find
you
it,
can, yeah.
Since the electricity bills and the gas bills have been going up and down the whole time. You don't want to have a surprise and have to pay 300 euros for a month all of a sudden. So if it's including gas, water, electricity,
It's always better.
it's always better. But at some point, if there's a good option excluding, then take it as well.
Yeah, or if you need your own apartment, then very often it's not included.
Yes. Lydia, you should know either today or early next week. And if you don't know your student number, don't worry. Just we will still accept you, but we need to know some information so we don't have scammers or people from outside of RUAS joining.
Yeah, for the SSH registration, if you don't know your student number,
I think they asked about for the group. Sorry.
Yeah.
But for SSH.
Oh,
as well.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
But for SSH as well, if you don't know your student number,
it's okay.
It's okay. We will look it up. So yeah, to sum it up, I guess we don't mediate. We're able to help. We will help you as much as we can, but we are not able to actually talk to your landlord or help you find something. We're both really flexible, and we can look at contracts, or if it's a good option, if it's a good area, we're all happy to do all of that, but really mediating, that's not possible. A lot of the rooms will be owned by private individuals or organizations. The prices really...
It really varies.
It really varies. Some of them are 450 euros. I would say that's the lowest you can probably find, especially as an international. They want to get more money out of you, unfortunately. A lot of the times you will also see a message which says no internationals. Sometimes they only want Dutch people, and then the rooms might be a bit cheaper. It's not fair. We totally understand. That's just the reality, unfortunately. It can go up to, let's say, 1,500 euros, but it really depends. Some of them are more expensive. If you find an apartment that you can share with 3 people, it will for sure be more than 1,500. I would say more towards 700 each person, like 2,000 for an apartment. It will take a long time probably to find something. If you're lucky and you find something within a week, good for you, but usually it takes several weeks and dozens of messages. Sometimes we hear people like, oh, I've already sent 10 messages. We understand that that's a lot of effort, but usually you will probably need to send 50 messages. You can be one of the lucky few who has it within 5 messages, but usually people have to spend weeks trying to find something. If you find something on, for example, Housing Anywhere, so a platform, they will not be the owner of the property. It will be just a platform where they offer the rooms. If you have to transfer money before, which sometimes they ask for, but we will get back to scams later, only transfer to a Dutch bank account. There's no reason for a person who lives here to not have a Dutch bank account. Don't send it to, let's say, Nigeria. We see that, unfortunately,
Western
a lot.
Union, PayPal.
Western Union, PayPal. They try to scam you in any way they can. So please only send it to Dutch accounts. But even then, we would prefer it if you don't send it at all. As we say later, if it's possible, don't pay yet before you can view the room. We understand that sometimes it's hard to view a room if you're not here. Ask them for a viewing, but we will also tell you a bit more about that later. Or if you know someone in the Netherlands or in Rotterdam, ask them if they can view the room, because unfortunately, a lot of the listings are not real. Some of the places you will not be able to rent if you don't earn enough money.
Mainly apartments.
Yeah, apartments for a room that should be fine usually. But if you want to rent an apartment that's 2,000 euros a month, they want to make sure you are able to afford it. So it's either that you have to show that you have enough savings, or your parents can be a guarantor. But that's always specific. So you'll have to ask the person who rents the house how to deal with that. Sometimes they don't accept a foreign guarantor. But that's also, as I said, very specific to the case. Most of them will require a deposit. It can be one times like an extra month as a deposit, but sometimes 4 times the rent. It really depends, unfortunately.
I think it's usually it's 1 or 2.
Yeah, 1 or 2
months.
would be most common. It's just the safety, but also for you, I would say don't have a high deposit, because sometimes they don't want to give it back. Hospiteren is a very common thing. It's when a student house has an open evening where you can go and introduce yourself. There will be, let's say, 20, 30 people coming for one room. You have to be your best self, introduce yourself, kind of sell yourself to be picked. It's a very Dutch thing, but it does happen. Know that could happen. You can always ask if you can do it online if you're not here. And
I would want to add something to that. We get a lot of questions from students sometimes where they try to find, and they send Facebook messages and messages over and over to people, and they never get a reply. For some of you, this will sound very logical, but we see that for some other people, it's not as common. When you see a room on Facebook or wherever, and you write a message to the person posting that room, asking about the room, we see that a lot of students just write, is this room available? Or
I'm interested.
or something like that. Please know that if you write a message like that, you will never get a reply. You will never get a room. What the person that is posting the room is expecting is for you to write a message to them, introducing yourself, saying, well, hello, my name is this and this. I'm from this country. I'm going to study here. I'm this age. I'm a nice person. I fit in this, I think I would fit in this housing situation because, I don't know, I like to cook, I'm clean, something like that. Tell them something about yourself. Maybe include a picture. But the thing is that people posting rooms will receive many, many replies from people who are interested. And if they don't have anything if there's nothing that sets you apart from the rest, they're just not even going to bother replying because it's too much work.
So they will, just so you know, they will get at least 100 messages.
Depending on the time of year.
Well,
but yeah,
even
it
now,
can be a lot.
Yeah, it's for February, probably if they post something, they'll get 100 messages. And so that's the same as hospiteren. You have to sell yourself. You have to show why you're the greatest fit.
You don't have to be really over the top.
No, you don't have to be fake or say things that are not true.
But be nice and say something
make an
about
effort.
Yourself. Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't just write, is this room available? Because for sure you will find yourself with no replies. And unfortunately, some people don't know that. So that's why I'm stressing it here.
Yeah, no, that's a good addition. And the last one, be careful of scams. Unfortunately, we do see them a lot. We try to stop them as much as we can. But unfortunately, sometimes it happens that a student is scammed before they reach us. So if you have any doubts, just message us. We don't want anyone to get scammed, but unfortunately, it does happen every semester. If something is too good to be true, it usually is.
Let me see what is the next one about this, guys?
I believe so.
Rent protection. Right. I will try and see what is most important to mention here. Basically, a good thing to know is that as a person who's renting the room, you will find that because you don't speak the language, you're not originally from here, unfortunately, there's always people that try to take advantage of that. You will see that the rent prices are sometimes quite high, especially if they know that you're international. However, you do have rights as a person who's renting a room. Once you have a contract, you do have rights, and the rights in this country are generally pretty good. It's not possible for a landlord to just evict you very easily.
To increase the rent, for example.
To increase the rent if it's stated in the contract. There's actually a lot of things once you have your own room that you are entitled to. The rent tribunal, or in Dutch we call that the huurcommissie, This is a government institution that can help you solve any sort of disputes. We've had this in the past where landlords, they try to do things when you're already living there. They try to increase the rent, or they don't take care of problems in the house, anything really. It can be sometimes, when you're new in a country, it can be sometimes a bit difficult to know what your rights are and what you can do. And obviously, you don't want to lose your house, so maybe you're afraid to speak up. But there are instances and organizations that can help you. So the Huurcommissie is one of them. And the second one, which I always really recommend, is Juridisch Loket, which is an office in Rotterdam where you can go to a walk-in hour, a few hours every day, and you get free legal advice from a jurist over there. I've sent a few students over there already with disputes, and so far I've heard that they've been really helpful. All of this just to say that if you have a problem once you're renting here, you can look on the websites of these instances, or you can email us and we'll direct you to the right person to help you. But know that just because you don't know the rules, or just because you're not from here, doesn't mean that everybody can just treat you however they want. You have rights. And so please come to us if you're worried about anything.
Yeah. Let's see. Will I encounter problems if I get disability benefits and cannot work? I don't see. That's, I would say, specific. Like, you would have to discuss that with the person. But for example, if you rent a room, they probably don't need to see bank statements. As long as you can pay the deposit and you can pay the rent, then it should be fine. If you rent an apartment, maybe there might be some problems that they don't see it as an income.
It really depends.
It really depends on the situation, I would say, and the person that you rent it from.
I think you will find like there are plenty of options out there where it will not be a problem. Yeah. But there might be some where it is.
Yeah.
Is there rent for family? Could you rephrase your question? Because I'm not 100% sure what you mean.
But yeah, if you are coming here with a family, I would suggest renting an apartment if you can.
Yeah, a lot of student accommodations or these kind of shared houses, they're not suitable for families. But there are other options out there. Just keep in mind, like we said, that apartments here, they can be very expensive. And for this, it's like everywhere, basically, the further you are away from the city center and the popular areas, the better the rental price. So keep that in mind as well. The general procedure also. So the pictures, it kind of speaks for itself. But first, look online and find a room. Once you find something that you're interested in, make sure to verify the address, just to be sure that it's really that it's real, and make sure that you can view the room. We know that oftentimes you're not in the country yet at the point where you're looking for a room, but do whatever you can to make sure to get a viewing, even if it's online. And if you do have an online viewing, be mindful. We've heard, I'm not sure how much it happens, but we've heard of situations where scammers go as far as to book an Airbnb and do an online viewing there. I don't know how common it is, but use your common sense as much as possible. Check the terms and conditions of your contract. Once again, if you're not sure about something that's in your contract, if it's very short or there's terms in there that you're not familiar with, contact us and we'll look it over with you. And then lastly, register at the municipality. I'll get to that in a second. The housing permit is another term that you might come across. There are some areas, some streets in Rotterdam where you need a housing permit. It's not very common. And if you need one, it will generally be mentioned to you when you are signing up for that room. It's not necessary for any of the SSH rooms. Like I said, it's not very common, but it is possible that you come across a house or property where you need a housing permit. You can find information about that just by Googling it on the website of the Rotterdam municipality. They will explain how it works. Housing benefit, it's also something that is sometimes applicable, but not very often. So we're not really going to go into detail. What it means is that for some apartments, it's if you have an income below a certain standard, you're allowed a certain benefit from the government. It is good to look into this yourself. Most student accommodations do not fit the criteria. Again, SSH has nothing to do with this either. But if you have found something, it is a good idea to have a look and see if it is eligible. Generally, if you live in an apartment with other students, it's not. It's more if you have your own apartment.
But even then, they're very strict.
Yeah, it's very difficult
yeah.
to get. I've never had it. So persons living in the Netherlands for longer than 4 months, they're obligated to register at the municipality. This is something quite important. What the reason for this is that the municipality keeps an account of who lives where, how many people are living in which house, and in our country. Many houses and apartment buildings have a limit on how many people are allowed to live there, and this is how they keep track of that. Now, why do you need to register? If you are not registered, you can run into all sorts of problems. First of all, if you're from a country where you require a visa to come to the Netherlands, you need a registration to obtain your personal number, and you'll need that for your visa. You'll need it to open most kinds of bank accounts. You'll need it for any sort of benefits if you're in. Oh, if you want to work in the Netherlands while you're here, you're not allowed to work here legally if you're not registered. So we advise you very strongly to register once you find a place to live. Now, what you will see is, unfortunately, on very many advertisements for rooms, is that it will say no registration. What that means is that it's a form of illegal subletting. It's very, very common in the Netherlands. I've lived in one of these rooms myself for many years. The reason it happens so much is because for many Dutch people, it's not really a problem if you're not registered at the address. But if you're coming from a different country, you will run into problems if you don't register. So even, I know it's demotivating, but if you see these kind of rooms where no registration is possible, try and stay clear of them, because you won't run into problems if you don't register.
I will say that as an EU student, if you're staying longer than shorter than 4 months, it is okay not to register. But as a non-EU, so outside of the EU, you always have to register, because it's one of the requirements for your visa. Unfortunately, a lot of EU students will not even open a bank account, so then it's okay. But to receive your refund as a non-EU student, you will have to open a Dutch bank account. So it really, especially for non-EU students, is very important to register at the municipality. If you are an EU citizen, is a student visa required? I believe not, but if you need that, then it will be sent to you by the student support team. But I'm pretty sure that the EU citizens don't need anything, but the non-EU ones do. And for visa service purposes, do I need to have accommodation? I believe you don't.
I don't think so either.
But once you arrive, you do have to have something. You have to be registered, otherwise you cannot get back your refund.
So do I have to register if I'm an EU student staying for 6 months? Yes.
Yes, officially, yes.
Yes.
We do see that a lot of EU students don't do it, but it is your own risk.
Yeah. To give you an honest answer on that, yeah, in reality, if you're only staying for 6 months and you're from an EU country, you don't need a visa. You don't want to work while you're here.
Don't want a bank account.
Exactly. If you don't need any of these services, like it is illegal to not register. Let's be clear on that. So we're not advising you to not do it, but I'll just say that in reality, it does happen, and it probably happens a lot. And there's not always that many consequences. But once again,
if your own risk. We're not able to say yes. No. From a RUAS standpoint.
You're welcome. All right, next.
Yep. So yes. Our favorite topic, scams. As we said before, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. They come up with the craziest things that make it sound amazing, and you're like, oh, I want to rent this, but it will probably be not like something that's real. As we said before, do not transfer money to a non-Dutch account or to Western Union or PayPal, because they're usually scams, someone who is abroad who made up a fake ad and wants to get the money. Also, try not to transfer money without viewing it first or have someone else view it. Sometimes they ask money for a viewing. That is ridiculous. Please don't do that. There's no need to pay money for a viewing, because why would you pay for something that you're not even sure you can live at? Also, you will see a lot of messages from landlords, like posts of landlords on Facebook. They will not, as you will see, they will get a lot of responses. But so there's no need for them to message you privately about an offer, because if they post something in the group, they will get 20 messages within a minute. So they will not have the time, or they don't have to make the effort to reach out to you. Research the address, the neighborhood on Google. If you're unsure about that, feel free to send us a message. And yeah, we can always tell you which neighborhoods are okay and which are not. Generally, Rotterdam is pretty safe. There are not really areas that we would say don't go there. But if you're trying to figure out where you want to live, send us a message about that. Also, a common one is that they use pictures of someone else. I saw that yesterday, that you could clearly see it was a house in the United States, just by the layout, and they try to sell it as one of the Dutch ones. So if you have a picture, just do the Google reverse image search, see if the image is already posted somewhere else, and if it's real. Last year, someone had that they had a nice apartment, and it was actually posted also in Portugal and Spain and Italy, all over Europe. So it's a scam. That happens a lot, unfortunately. Then always ask for a contract. A lot of them will try to do it without a contract. But if you have a contract, you have rights and you know what to expect. Without a contract, there's no way to be safe, I guess, or rely on a contract. They can just kick you out for no reason. They can do whatever they want. It is a protection for you. So please get a contract. As Roos said earlier, please be aware of illegal subletting. It does happen a lot, where an apartment has 5 people living in them, but you can only have 3 people living there. That's when it says no registration. Again, that for the EU students, it is always your choice, your risk, but we do not recommend it. And then in doubt, ask the juridisch loket. They have walk-in hours. Ask us, look online, where everyone is willing to help you. So please there's no need to fall for a scam, because we're here to help.
Exactly.
And then, you already replied to that one.
I answered some questions.
Any other scams that we have?
You will see as well with the WhatsApp group that we mentioned, it is a really good place to talk to other students and to pose your questions there. We've seen that other students can help you, and the 2 of us can help you answer questions. And especially if you have these kind of situations where you're not sure if something is legitimate,
feel free to send it. Don't think that it's a stupid questions.
No.
There are no stupid questions. We will answer them. Something that's important to you might seem not too important to others, but don't worry, just send them. We can help you, or otherwise tell you where to look.
And about the registration for the municipality, you will receive more information about that from student support. They will organize a couple of days where the municipality comes to us, and you can register at school with the municipality, or you can make your own appointment. And if you found a place to stay where you can register, you don't have to worry to register immediately when you're here. You can do that at your leisure, as long as you do it. I think this was the last slide. Oh, yes. So these are just our contact details. Obviously, you can also find them online. If after watching this you have further questions, feel free to email us. Like I said, the WhatsApp group, it will come later. We will send you an email with a link to it once it's ready.
I will also send the Facebook group once more in the chat.
So join our Facebook group if you want. It won't be as active immediately, but we expect that it will become more active over the following weeks.
On the 28th, it'll probably, once SSH is full, usually students post there.
About your visa process, yes, student support can help you with that.
Will help you.
They will, yes.
Yeah, they have to. So they will email you once they know that you're coming here.
And I hope, just to close up the webinar, I hope that it wasn't too full of bad news, because sometimes we feel that all we're saying is like it's difficult, you'll get scammed, it's expensive, it's unwelcoming. It's not always the most fun things to have to say, but just so you know, there are also honest people out there. There are houses where you have fair prices, and hopefully when you come here, you will have a lovely time. We just want to make sure that you have all the information and you know what you can expect, but it doesn't all have to be negative. And yeah, we really look forward to welcoming you in the introduction week as well, and to get to know you in the WhatsApp group over the coming months.
Any questions, feel free to send them. Yeah, the WhatsApp group will be sent in around 1 to 2 weeks, I would say. It includes like the save the date to the introduction activity. So soon, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think then we will just close in a couple of minutes. But yeah, as we've said all through the webinar, we're available for questions anytime. And like Ruby said, don't be worried if you think that your question is weird or whatever. We won't think so. Just ask us. And we know how it is. We've both lived abroad. We know how difficult it is moving to a new country, sometimes for the first time. So feel free to ask us anything, and we'll do whatever we can to help you.
Also, in the WhatsApp group, you're able to ask things about not
Anything
related to housing.
Yes.
We always answer a lot of things about just Rotterdam or life here in general.
And tips and tricks for nice places to go, etc. I don't think more questions are coming.
How do we get the WhatsApp group? Will be sent to you soon.
Yes, it's not ready yet, but you will at some point receive an email with the invitation.
As soon as we know all the exchange students who are coming, which will be in the next few days, then we can start preparing for the WhatsApp group.
Okay. Well, it was really nice to talk to you all a little bit. I hope this was helpful, and
we'll see you in a few months.
Yeah. Have a nice day or a nice night, wherever you guys are.
Morning, whatever.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.